answers to this week's set of problems, this assignment. So for the first one, they gave us that the mean weight of all the sumo wrestlers was 330 and the standard deviation was 40, and they wanted to see how, like, what percentage weigh more than 410. So basically I started off by just drawing a normal distribution, a bell curve, and I split that up into 8 different sections, and I got the percentages for each section. So I was like 34, 34, 14, 14, 2% and 2%. And then I put the mean in the middle, which was 330, and then I added 40 or subtracted it depending on which way I was going. So this way I subtracted 40, subtracted 40, subtracted 40. And this way I added 40, added 40, added 40. And so this sumo wrestler weighs 410. So I found that 410 was 2 standard deviations above the mean, meaning that there were 2% of sumo wrestlers that weigh more than him. So I got 2%. For number 2, I did that on the back of this paper. And I basically just did the same thing. They just wanted to see like a normal distribution and like the percentages for each section in the distribution. So basically just the same thing. I did 8 sections, the means in the middle, and then you go up and down, and 34%, 34%, 14%, 14%, 2%, and 2%. And then for number 3, the mean score for the math exam is 125 out of 200 points, and then the standard deviation is 30. And they wanted to figure out what like my score is, if my score is 1.5 standard deviations above the mean. So basically I kind of just did the same thing as up here. I drew a normal bell curve and then, subtracted 30 and added 30 depending on which way I was going. So 125 minus 30, minus 30, minus 30, 125 plus 30, 30, 30. And then I drew the sections and everything. And then since it said it was 1.5 standard deviations above the mean, I went 1.5 standard deviations up. So that's where my score is. And I basically then I subtracted 155 from 185, and then got 30, divided that by 2, which is 15, and then added the 15 to 155, which is 170. So I found that my score is 170 because it's halfway in between 155 and 185. And that's my B. And then for C, 68% of the population falls between -1 and 1 above the mean. And then 96% of the population falls between -2 and +2. So I just added the percentages. So that's 68%. And then 68 plus 14 plus 14 is 96. And then for number 4, we had to create a grouped frequency table with 5 groups, and I basically I wrote out all the numbers first, all the scores, and then I created this little section with my scores, so 0 to 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 5, 6 to 7, and 8 to 9, and then I just kind of put how many, like, the frequency of each interval, I guess. So there was 1, 3, 3, 4, 1, total scores 12. And then for relative frequency, I just divided each frequency by 12. So 1 divided by 12 is 8.3, 3 divided by 12 is 25, 3 divided by 12 is 25, 4 divided by 12 is 33.3, and 1 divided by 12 is 8.3. And then at the end, that should all equal 100%. And then for cumulative frequency, I just, I added each percentage. This is like really confusing. I watched a YouTube video on it. It's not confusing, but it's confusing to explain. So I added each percentage to the relative frequency. So for example, 8.3%. And then I added 25% to that and got 33.3%. Added 25 to that, got 58.3%, added 33.3 to that and got 91.6%, and then added 8.3% and got 100%. It's a little bit off because I didn't put in all the decimal places, but